Well, welcome to the weekend. Glad to have you guys here. This is the weekend show, and I got a number of topics I want to go over. One is gold, Trump, yield curve, rate hike cuts, Boris Johnson, stuff like that. Anyway, let's get the show started, and let's open up the charts right here, and let's take a look here now at Boris Johnson first thing, right? Now, you guys know that Boris Johnson is more than likely going to win the the prime minister, to be the prime minister in England, you know. And it says here, he says, I identify very much with Star Wars. He says, and he identifies with the Jedi, you know, the Jedi Knights, like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke Skywalker, you know. Well, he's coming in, and I'll just say one thing. Use the Force, Johnson. Use the Force. Anyway, he's coming in, and he's going to launch that bullet and blow up the Death Star, you know. That's Star Wars. Anyway, let's take a look now. Donald Trump. Donald Trump unleashes a sudden attack on Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin had a massive gain in price quite recently. And there's two things that's going on right now. One is the stock market. Stock market's undergoing a gain in price. And I see it continuing to go up. As long as they're lowering interest rates, you know. Well, Bitcoin has already went through this massive rise in price. It's leveled off. And, you know, there's something looming for Bitcoin right now. What I mean looming is it could cause a substantial drop in the price of Bitcoin if it happens. In my mind, I'm giving it about a 50-50 chance of happening. And it is something called Tether. The United States government is taking a very serious look at Tether in their business and finance dealings. And in fact, there's probably a 50-50 chance that the United States government's going to come down hard on Tether. And if they do, we're going to see probably a rather large decline in the price of Bitcoin. I could see it coming down, I don't know, 6,000, 8,000. I could see it coming back down into that range if Tether really, if the whole thing really cracks apart hard. So it might happen, it might not happen. It's one of those things where it's been brewing for a long time now, and we've got to a point now where it could happen or it might not happen. You know, if it doesn't happen, Bitcoin could rise higher. So right now, Bitcoin is extremely risky. It's an extremely risky venture. But Donald Trump has unleashed a sudden attack on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been trading sideways, but it's been slowly losing steam today. I've been watching it. And it might have something to do with what Donald Trump has said. But also, Tether has been facilitating somewhat of the rise in the cryptocurrency's price over the last number of months. If Tether goes down, that could really affect Bitcoin more than anything that Donald Trump has to say. Of course, he says he doesn't like Bitcoin. But on the other hand, you know, is he just, it's just words. How he really feels about it might be entirely different. Let's take a look now at the yield curve. You know, we've had a yield curve inversion for a while now. And when it was first announced and stuff, it affected the markets and stuff. But now they've grown complacent about it. It's been there. We've had the yield curve for months. But you know, that yield curve inversion is one of the most accurate predictors that there is out there on predicting a future recession. And it says we're going to have a recession, but it's not the only warning sign. There's warning signs flashing through all the charts. I've looked at all the charts, and an awful lot of indicators are pointing toward this recession coming in. And in fact, we're starting, not so much in America right now. America's still steaming along, but you know, other countries are starting to feel it. It's the first initial stages of it. It's like on a roller coaster, and you're on the top, and you're ready to go down the the big thing down the roller coaster. At the very first, when you first start to go down, for the first second, you don't really feel it much until you feel your stomach going, and you're going down the... That's where we are. We're at the recession. We're at the very, very first start. And unless you're really on top of it, you don't notice it so much. But it's coming in stronger every month. At the same time this recession's coming in, we got a market that's creeping upwards because they're lowering interest rates. There's an old saying, what goes up must come down. This market is going up so high that if something comes in that's more than an indicator for the recession, if something happens that's big within the financial system, like maybe, I don't know, Deutsche Bank, the market's going to roll over, and I mean it could roll over awfully enormously big, before the Fed could even react to try to do something about it. And that's a distinct possibility. But in the meantime, as long as they're lowering these interest rates, and they're talking about 2 this year, let's take a look here at this article. Evans says 2 Fed rate hike. Why do I say Fed rate hike cuts? I should say Fed rate cuts. Anyway, 2 Fed rate cuts could bring inflation to goal. And so they're talking about 2 Fed rate cuts. Now, as long as they're doing these cuts, the market hasn't really realized yet that, hey, these cuts aren't going to work. And that has to be proven yet. It's like everything the Fed does. It's like they have to go through this thing. They're always saying, okay, this will fix the economy. Just wait. Okay, we're going to make rate cuts. It's going to fix the economy. And it has to be proven that won't. Before the Fed will take their foot off the pedal, it has to be shown that what they're doing is not working. And this is basically the way it goes. Now, over in the Gulf, around the Gulf of Oman and around the Strait of Hormuz, what do we see going on? Well, London has a super tanker that they've basically they've boarded it and they've got it sitting there and they're not letting it go. They want to release it. It's Iranian. It's a super tanker and they want to release it. Now that's what they're talking about. But the Iranians, I'm going to tell you, it's the way I see it. There was landmines. Now this is weeks ago. There was landmines put on the sides of ships, and they blew these holes in the ships. The ships didn't sink. And so they asked the Iranians, did you do it? And the Iranians said, no, we didn't do it. So then later, there was an attack on these tankers going through the Gulf of Oman. And they were on fire and everything else. And then they had pictures that were taken from a drone or whatever that the United States showed, and it showed the Iranians taking the mines out and putting the mines on and taking the mines off of the sides of the ship. And they were filmed doing it on the Iranian boats. So they asked the Iranians, did you do it? The Iranians said, no, we didn't do it. Well, just this last week, the Iranians had maybe 3 to 5 of their ships surrounding one of these British oil tankers, and the British had to come into the rescue, and they were right there. Caught red-handed doing it. And the British were on board their ship. They saw everything, right? And then what did the Iranians say? No, we didn't do it. How long are we going to buy this stuff about them saying that they didn't do it? That's the whole thing. That's just my opinion only about all that, But, the thing is now London wants to extend the hand and say, here, we're going to release your super tanker to you. London wants to release the super tanker to the Iranians. We're going to give them back their super tanker. Boy, were they ever mad. when they seized that super tanker. Oh my goodness, were they ever mad? Anyway, but they're going to give them back their super tanker. And so that I think they're going to give them. I'm not sure, but it says London wants to release the Iranian supertanker. A dispute between London and Tehran over the Iranian oil tanker set up in Gibraltar is showing signs of relief. British Foreign Minister Hunt announced the release of the vessel by British Overseas Territory authorities on the condition that Iran assures that the cargo is not destined for Syria. Well, what are they going to do with it? It's like, what is it, 300,000 barrels of oil? You know? What are they going to do with it if they don't take it to Syria? Are they going to eat it? Are they going to put it under cereal? I mean, you know? What are the Iranians going to do with all that oil? Anyway, gold. I think, my personal opinion only, I think we're at the beginning now of what's going to be a long bull market in gold and silver. I think we're near the beginning of it. And I think once it starts to really break out and take off, I think there's a very, very high probability that when the recession hits, it's not going to slow down gold and silver. They're going to run into gold and silver, I think. And Bitcoin, hard to tell. They might just dump Bitcoin when the recession hits, or they might run into it. It's hard to tell what way they're going to turn with Bitcoin, but I think they're going to run into gold and silver when the recession hits. I think this is just the beginning. I think we're going to see much, much higher gold and silver prices coming up in the not so distant future. And you know, it's right around this time that an awful lot of people, especially guys who are holding silver, just get squeezed. You're getting squeezed because what's happening is prices are going up on everything, and your wages aren't going up. So you put a little bit of silver away for yourself for the future, right? And what's happening though now is you're getting squeezed. I feel it. I'm getting squeezed. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting squeezed. At the end of the month, it's getting harder and harder to get every one of those bills paid. You know? And so you start to think to yourself, hey, you know what? I better sell some of my silver, you know, and to pay some of these bills. And that's what's been going on. And so what happens in the end is, just at the last little bit here, before we go into the bull market, an awful lot of people are going to be selling out. You know, this helps them with the downward price manipulation. As long as they can keep a lot of silver flowing into the market, and as long as they don't run out of silver, they can keep using their paper short contracts. As long as there's no failure to deliver, this is a big thing. The silver market is the most vulnerable market, not the gold market. There's a lot of gold out there. In fact, you know what? I know silver has large inventories stored around the earth here and there in private hands. You know? But there's more gold out there in vaults than there is silver. Why is the price so much higher for gold? You know, generally you're supposed to have more of a commodity, of the physical of a commodity. Generally the price is supposed to be lower than another commodity that's more rare. As rarity or scarcity is something that's supposed to raise the price of something. And sort of the reason why gold is actually higher, even though there's more supply of gold, is because it requires more effort to get an ounce of gold out of the ground than is required to get an ounce of silver out of the ground. So if they're mining ore, say, they get like a lot more silver, like 10 times more silver when they're mining ore in the mines than they do gold. You know, but still, that would indicate that the silver price should be 1/10 of gold, and right now that would be $140 an ounce silver. So something's wrong there. You know, something is really skewed in the market, and you can take advantage of that, because when these markets start to really move upwards, silver's going to catch a headwind that gold's not going to catch, and this is a headwind that's going to equal out the gold to silver ratio a little bit better than it is now. I'm thinking probably 40, 50 to 1, 60 to 1 rather than where it is right now, you know. And this is going to give you a little bit of an extra boost even over gold. And gold prices aren't going to stay low like they are now. Gold's going to go way the heck up. And the silver to gold ratio is going to go back to a more normal range. That's what we got coming. And you just hang in there a little bit longer, guys. Anyway, listen, thank you guys for listening to this show. And we'll catch you again very, very soon. Bye-bye.